What's up, everybody? It's Tamar. It's Saturday, and it's a free week, so we get to talk about whatever we like. And what I would like to talk about is what nobody told me about transition, because inevitably you can do all the research that you do. Isn't this floor is squeaking, isn't it? Oh god. Basically, you can gather as much research as possible, and inevitably you are your own person, and so your experience is going to be unique. And it's really only something you can find out in the moment as you are doing it, as you are going through it. So the main thing that I feel like that I didn't see a lot of people talk about in videos or anything is there's this middle period in transition. At least I'm going to call it a middle period. And what I mean by a middle period is like, okay, you have like the social element of transition, you have the physical element of transition, and you have the emotional element of transition. And these all aren't activated at the same time. Like, they can be very out of sync with one another, but they all comprise you. And so I feel like I don't know, it feels very unstable. So for example, you can go to your I'm like out of breath from binding in the summertime. Fuck my life. Okay, so you can go to your clinic or doctor or whatever, you can get your first injection. You can be like, hey, I started T, okay, wonderful. And then, let's say you go out to the store and somebody is like, oh ma'am, what can I get for you? It's like, but how do those two things, like, it's like just because you initiate a transition in one sphere, physical, it doesn't mean that the social is then going to just like jump on it and know what you're doing. So for me, it's been really, really difficult to be almost 4 months on T and still be misgendered literally every day. The other thing too is when you watch videos on YouTube, such as what you are doing now if you are watching this, and what I do a lot as well, we edit them. And so what happens with that is that a year on T takes 7 minutes, or 6 months recovering from top surgery takes 5 minutes. And when you're actually going through it yourself, it's in real time. I know this all sounds very obvious, like, we know, Tamar, how time moves, why are you talking about this? I know you know that. It's just that I didn't expect it to feel this slow. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I am also, maybe not a good example because I had a whole bunch of complications starting T, so not everybody has those. I would probably be a lot further along if those things didn't come up, but they did. What can I do? Absolutely nothing. I've accepted it. I don't know if I have actually, but I at least acknowledge it. I know everybody knows it's a waiting game. I know everybody has some months where they can practice more patience than other months, and this is all that is in a very general sense. We all experience that to some degree. But I feel like what nobody told me about transition, or what nobody talked about, is how do you cope, or like what do you do when you're in this middle space? Like, I can't just lock myself in my room and come out in 2 years when I'm comfortable with my body, hopefully, fingers crossed, and I'm comfortable with my presentation, I'm comfortable with how I'm being read. I can't just wait for that to happen and then look for a job, or like, and then, like, go on dates with people or whatever. It's like, I still have to and want to do that now, but I'm not the person that I want to do it as. So it can be really discouraging, and it can be really, more than just discouraging, but very anxiety. I think most of my anxiety stems from that. It's like having to go out into the world as somebody who, like, I'm not even entirely convinced is me. And so it creates all sorts of problems in your work life, in your social life, in just everything, literally everything you do. Any kind of interaction with another person, whether it's a stranger or someone you love, it's hard. And I just feel like I wasn't prepared for this specific period in transition where it is very early. I can't just lock myself away until I'm ready to be seen. So I guess instead of just leaving it at that, I can try to say what I'm doing. I think the main thing that is going to help you when you are in this period is communication. It sucks. Having conversations sucks. Having difficult conversations sucks for everybody. But that's the only way. What I mean, like at work, if people are using the wrong pronouns for you, and you don't, and you're not being read the way that you want to be read, you will probably need to have a conversation with the people you work with and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I'd like to be called this. And that's actually what I just did this week. I came out at work, and it went really well, so I'm gonna make a video on my personal channel if you want to check it out. I don't know when, because I don't know, but sometime soon. So things like that, or with a partner, let's say like you used to have sex in a certain way, and now you are not comfortable with that way, and you are comfortable with another way. Your partner isn't going to know this just because they like you. You are going to have to initiate some kind of conversation with them and say, hey, things have changed. Can we talk about this? Or, hey, this is upsetting me, and I just need you to know that, or something. The idea of passing, not my favorite word, but the privilege in my mind is like not having to have that conversation because you're already being read that way. And if you're not being read the way you want to be read, it usually involves a conversation. So yeah, if you have any conversations that you think you want to have with family, friends, partners, and you want advice or you want to talk to me about it, I would be more than happy to hear what's going on and see if I could be helpful, because I've been having to have so many conversations throughout these past 4 months. And they say that, oh, the more you do it, the more you practice, it gets easier. I don't want to sound discouraging or negative, but like, I don't think it does. I think I'm still equally as anxious every single time. And it doesn't even matter what the reaction is. Like, coming out at work went really, really well, and I am still like incredibly anxious to be around anybody, and I just still feel really, really terrible. But it's like, why? Because it went well. I don't know. And then I'm thinking maybe it's some internalized shit going on, probably. So isn't it always? So what nobody told me about transition, weird middle space, how do you do your life when you're in it? And my solution is, you're going to, not a solution, but my way of navigating this very uncomfortable middle space is just having to have not necessarily conversations about coming out, but a lot of conversations about disclosing your new identity or preferences or pronouns, things that you don't. Coming out just sounds like, oh, well, okay, it's this way now. It's like, it's kind of like that, but it has such deep social roots and such grave social implications that if people aren't doing what you're doing, you can end up literally being so depressed and never want to leave your house, and I don't want anybody to feel like that. Embrace the middle space, my friends, because for some it might last longer than others. For me, I feel like mine is pretty endless. It's always more difficult when you see it, when you're seeing it from your perspective. It can be, a little warped time. Anyway, I'll stop talking about the properties of time and let you get back to whatever you were doing. So I hope you have a great weekend and a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.